Thank you, Your Honor. May it please the court. Former Sergeant Gaither.
Retired.
Retired Sergeant Gaither. I think you know this, but my name is Max Schardt. I represent Shannon Stillwell.
Yes, sir.
Same intro
I want to
always.
first talk about this file. May I approach the witness with the
You
file?
may.
Can I just refer to you as Sergeant Gaither? I know you're
Sure.
retired, but okay.
Sure.
All right, thank you. Sergeant Gaither, as I understand it, you were the lead investigator on the Dexter Montgomery shooting case, correct?
Yes.
Okay, now
The secondary investigator. I'm sorry.
that shooting was from April 12, 2015.
The secondary investigator, yes. It was originally assigned to someone, and then my unit took over the case.
You eventually took over.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And as part of your duties as the lead investigator, once you took over, you maintained a case file, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And that case file was an original file that would have the work you did, the police reports generated, and all the information regarding the work that you did on the case, correct?
Your Honor, these questions were asked and answered several months ago, the
They
first
were.
time that Sergeant
Okay,
Gaither
well
was on.
then,
And that would-
they were, let's not go over
Well,
it again.
we now have the case, copy of the case
Well,
file.
no, we don't.
Okay, we have a copy. So,
Your Honor, I object to the testimony. The jury has heard what the witnesses said, and I object to Mr. Schardt attempting to put information before the jury that she's not said. And
Okay, just ask her a question about
So,
it then, but
as-
don't recover stuff that's already been established.
as I understand, that original case file was left in a cabinet in APD.
objection, that was asked and answered months
It's
ago.
overruled, he's just recalling her to whatever it was she said before, but move on and get
I
to
will.
whatever you want to ask now.
As I recall, you've testified that that original case file was left in the cabinet of APD when you left.
Yes.
Okay. And you have now identified that file that's next to you that Ms. Love brought to court today as a copy of that file, correct?
I don't think those were my exact words.
What are your exact words?
I stated there are portions of this file that are copies of my original file.
Okay, so let me break that down.
Yes,
It's
sir.
a copy of your original file, but then there's also additional materials that someone else added.
Objection, Your Honor, mischaracterizes what the witness said.
She can correct me if I'm wrong.
So, overruled.
Is that correct? That it was your original file, that's a copy of your original file and then someone else added some other documents?
I cannot tell you if that is my original file because I don't remember all of the contents of the original file. There are portions and documents of things that were in my original file that are now in this folder right here. And there are also portions that I don't know where they came from that are in this folder as well.
Okay. And when you make a copy of your original file and send it to the DA's office, you would want to include the pertinent parts of your investigation, correct?
Sure.
Because they're the ones that are going to be prosecuting the case, the DA's office.
At what stage of the case, like I stated to this gentleman here, different stages of the case going through the court system, you will receive different pieces of evidence. And maybe starting in the beginning, like the complaint room, you may not have all pieces of evidence or documents that'll end up in your original file at the end. So therefore, different stages that the case goes to the DA's office, you may not have all of the information.
It would contain the information for the work that you had done up to that point.
In the original file
Yes.
or portions of the file. At different stages, once again, you will receive different pieces of information. When I'm done with the case, all the information I have for a particular case will be in that original file.
Right. And then the
Right.
original file is copied and sent to the DA's office. Correct?
Sir, I don't know a different way to explain to you what
Do you withhold
What I'm saying,
information
I
from
don't
the
know.
DA's office?
Your Honor, objection as to relevance and objection, she's asked and answered.
Sustained.
Okay. As the lead investigator of the Dexter Montgomery case shooting back in 2015, do you remember the names Cornelius Davis, Carrion Mooney, and Christian James?
Objection, Your Honor, these were covered months ago. The same
Well,
question
and
was
that's why
asked
I'm
and answered.
recalling it for the jury and for the witness.
Go ahead.
Do you recall the names Cornelius Davis, Carrion Mooney, and Christian James?
Yes.
Okay, they were individuals that your investigation led you to believe were in the car with Dexter Montgomery at the time he was shot, correct?
Your Honor, this, again, asked and answered, so objection.
Okay, I mean, I don't know what we're getting at here.
I'll get there soon.
Get there really soon.
Those are individuals that were in the car with Dexter Montgomery, per your investigation?
They were victims in that case, yes, sir.
Okay. And they were also witnesses?
Sure.
All right. Your Honor, I would like to play some prior testimony from April 29, 2024.
Your Honor, I object.
Of this witness?
Yes.
I object to, the jury has already heard the testimony.
For what purpose? Y'all approach.
And how can Whitaker even properly weigh on an ask the answer type objection, or if they've heard this previously? Like, how does she know if it's actually cumulative or not? Right? Because Whitaker wasn't here when Gaither was on the stand the first time. So, you know, good times all around. We have a birthday shout out in the chat to Chris Westis. Happy birthday to Chris Westis. And if you're not looking at your screen and like dogs, we have a dog on the screen. Thank you so much, Chris. Love your dog. And we could skip some of these. I don't know how long these sidebars are. And I'm also a little scared to miss if they say anything before the camera pans back. So we'll go a little before they come back.
Take this.
Okay, I messed up anyway. All right, this looks good.
Your Honor, may I approach the witness? I'm going to take this. Okay. I'm not going to ask you anything else about the case file.
Okay,
Let's
so
talk about-
loss.
August 5th, 2015. Okay, that was the date of the interview with Mr. Zachary, correct?
Okay.
Could you speak up a little?
Okay.
Okay. So, Mr. Zachary was in jail, correct?
Yes, he was in custody.
All right, and he was in custody for a series of shooting residences from April 28, 2015.
Yes.
Oh, and you were the lead investigator in that case.
Later on, yes.
Okay. You were the one that took out the warrants for Mr. Zachary.
Yes, sir.
All right. And he was arrested on that case on July 28th of 2015, correct?
Sounds about right.
Okay.
I'm not sure the exact date.
Why don't you want
The
to say the
charges
date?
Mr. Zachary was facing, is you took out the warrants, 3 counts of ag assault,
If you can remind me what the case, the charges are, the actual warrants, I don't know off the top of my head,
Okay.
everything he was charged with.
aggravated battery for shooting Denise Bell.
If you have something that can refresh my memory, I don't know of all of the exact charges
Okay,
off the
what-
top of my head.
All right. Did you charge him with aggravated battery?
Your Honor, the question has been asked and answered if Mr. Schardt would provide something. She's asking for something to refresh her memory.
She says she doesn't know the exact charges, so I'm trying to work through it with her. Do you recall charging him with aggravated battery for shooting Denise Bell?
Yes, I'm speaking of when you say counts, I can't recall how many exact counts is
I
what I'm
understand,
saying.
and I'm not going to press you on that. Okay. Criminal damage to property,
Okay.
is that gang charges?
It sounds about right. I don't know off the top of my head everything that he was charged with.
You charge him with gang charges, gang act violations,
Yes.
and you charge him with possession of a firearm during commission of a felony.
That sounds about right.
All right. And he also had pending, he was still on bond for it, but he had pending the case from May 5th of 2015 when an officer found a gun in Summer Good's car, correct?
Okay.
You discussed that in an interview about his bond conditions and all the rest.
I'm trying to remember.
Okay.
It was before, so I'm sure the case wasn't dissolved by the time I talked to him in August. So
Okay, so he has this case of shooting the houses, and then he has a separate case.
the gun possession, yes.
Gun possession. Right. And at the time on August 5th, from July 28, 2015, when he was arrested, to August 5th, he didn't have a bond, right?
I don't recall.
Okay. All right. You talked about calls that were made in the beginning of that. You said something to the effect, this is not a quote. Your people are calling me, so, I'm here now. What do you have to say?
Okay.
Is that paraphrasing? Is that
Sure.
right? All right. And I think you testified that you gave your number to certain people related to him. Who did you give your number to?
His mother.
His mother. Okay. Is that your standard practice to give your number to people that you arrest?
Yes,
Or the family, I'm sorry, the family members of people you arrest?
a search warrant was executed at her home. So a lot of people have my phone number. It's a common practice of mine, yes.
Okay. Kenneth Copeland, did he have your number?
You're aware that he had my number?
Okay. Did his family members have your number?
I don't think I spoke with any of his family members.
What about Miss Quarterman? Did she have your number?
I believe so.
Okay, and that was his girlfriend at the time? His mother?
His child's mother, yes.
All right. Demekion Garlington, did he have your number?
No,
Did his family members have your number?
yes.
Okay. Going back to, and I'm specifically talking about Mr. Zachary now. When you made reference to people calling on his behalf or to get you to go out and talk to him, who specifically was it that was calling?
The best of my memory, it was his mother and his girlfriend at the time, Miss Good.
Okay. And these calls would have taken place in between July 28th and 2015 and August 5th, 2015. Is that fair to say? These calls would have happened after his arrest?
I would assume, I'm not 100% certain. But it was definitely after the search warrant was executed at his home.
Do you know what date the search warrant was?
I don't know off the top of my head.
How many times did his mother call you?
Objection, Your Honor, relevance and
Sustained.
How many times did Summer Good call you?
relevance, objection.
Let me ask you, are there any reports regarding these phone conversations you had with Mr. Zachary's mother or girlfriend that you generated?
No,
Okay. Were these phone calls you had with Mr. Zachary's mother and girlfriend, were they recorded?
I don't believe so.
All right. On direct, you talked about your practice of not revealing your cards first. Remember that?
I don't think I used the word cards, but I understand what you're saying.
Okay. Well, I'm not directly quoting you.
Okay.
But the idea that you hold back your information because you don't want the person that you're interrogating to know what you know and then structure a story around what they know you know.
Okay.
Does that sound about right?
More or less, yeah.
Okay. People lie in the interrogation room, don't they?
Objection, Your Honor. One, relevance as to what people do, and two, speaking of the veracity of a witness is exactly the thing that the court has instructed the witness not to do.
That's not as to a particular witness overruled.
And Your Honor, then objection, relevance as to what other people do.
Sustained.
Okay. You hold back information because you're concerned about people crafting their lies around what they would know you know.
Objection, Your Honor.
Rephrase.
Why do you hold back information from people in the interrogation room?
An objection that was asked and answered.
Sustained.
Your Honor, it wasn't asked and answered by me, and I'm trying to lay the foundation to go somewhere with this.
Okay, well, you just asked a question very similar to that, so
Well, it was my recollection was objected to. That's why I'm asking open-ended now. Why do you withhold? I asked if she withholds information. I'm asking why do you withhold information from people in the interrogation room?
Your Honor,
you just asked her about the testimony she gave on direct as to why she did that. And she answered. Yeah, that was pretty much it.
Okay. In your experience, do people in the interrogation room try to protect themselves?
objection, relevance as to what people in the interrogation room do.
Are we speaking about a particular case? I mean, everybody's different.
I'm talking about in your experience.
In my experience, everyone is different. They have different reasons and motivations for what they say.
In your experience,
Oh, yes,
in the
sometimes.
interrogation room, do people attempt to shift blame onto others?
Everyone has different motives and tactics that they use to try to outsmart us. Unless you're
yes,
talking about
sometimes.
someone specific. I don't want to just generalize all of my experience and all of my interrogations.
Okay, well, all right, let's talk about a specific example that came up on direct.
Okay.
Ms. Love asked you about Quindaria Zachary informing you that Kenneth Copeland, Woody, and Antonio Sledge Moontunk shot Shell on Martin Luther King.
Shut at.
Shot at Shell on Martin Luther
I
King.
don't know. Objection is to,
She asked.
you know what? I withdraw it. I'll let him ask the question.
Thank you. Do you remember?
Shot at Kelvin Watts, yes.
Yes. Do you remember being asked about that?
Yes.
Okay. And you were asked if Woody admitted to that when you interviewed him, right?
Okay.
And you chuckled.
I don't remember chuckling. Just now or then?
No, then.
I don't recall.
Okay.
I want to say, of course not, is what I stated.
Of course not.
Of course
Why
not.
did you say of course not?
Because we all know that he didn't. We watched several interviews with him, and he did not state anything about that.
Okay. That would have been against his legal interests, right?
Objection, Your Honor. As to,
Sustained.
In fact, Mr. Copeland said he denied doing anything out on the streets. He said that people were always throwing his name into
Objection,
things
Your
that
Honor.
other people did, correct?
relevance and the best evidence was what they've already seen.
Can't update this banner fast enough.
Let me ask you this. You, as an investigator, wanted to talk to Mr. Zachary when you had him in the interrogation room about things he was accused of first. That was your first line of questioning, correct?
The case that I had for him, yes.
Right, the shooting up the houses from April 28th.
Correct.
All right. Your Honor, permission to publish DS41A,
Yeah, those are all part of the. yeah.
right, and it's 21851 to 22201.
Your Honor, with respect to,
01, yes, sir.
Your Honor,
Yes.
okay, so I would object under 403, since the jury just heard this entire interview, and ask that if there's a question, that the question be posed. But this portion of the entire interview has been played for the jury.
That's true. It was very recently played. Why don't you ask questions, and then if she needs her recollection refreshed about anything, you can do that.
Okay. You focused Quindarius Zachary on the April 28, 2015 incident, right?
In the beginning of the interview, yes.
Okay, and his first thing he said to you was, I wasn't there, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And he claimed to have information about the shooting though, correct?
Your Honor, this has been asked, answered, and shown.
Sustained.
Your Honor, I have not asked this
It
witness
doesn't matter whether you particularly have asked. It's already been asked.
by the state. I'm not trying to argue with the court, but, I mean, I've been up here
If
for
we
5
already
minutes.
have the answer, just move on to something that we don't have the answer to yet.
Okay. Mr. Zachary told you that Demekion told him all about what happened, correct? Demekion Garlington.
About what, sir? Which
The April
portion?
28, 2015 shooting, Sergeant Gaither.
I don't believe that was exactly what he said.
Your Honor, may I play the video?
You may.
Thank you. Can we publish 41A, Mr. Kokomo? And that is 21851 to 22201.
The glitchy video.
Talk about this is what you've been charged with. What do you have to say about the case? You wasn't worried. What did you hear about it?
Something hanging out with milk, my DJ had jumped. Like so. And then,
You was at the house from Cleveland?
yeah,
Department, after you
just 4 or 5 people. And then that when she told me that she had got shot at too.
That same night?
You know, she said that they had gotten a whole bunch of shooting, and then like Ilgang had pulled up at my cousin's house. My cousin go with this boy named Tate. Y'all know him? Yeah,
Javante.
yeah, I don't know his name, but she was going in the house. And she said they were started shooting at the house, like they were shooting from the apartment. Like she said,
Where is this house located at?
what you talking about? Landrum apartment.
Landrum and Zone 4?
On campus.
North Campus?
Yeah.
So who stayed over there again?
My cousin Liz, right? And Tate.
That's what Javante said.
Yeah.
She your blood cousin?
Yeah.
I mean, how people say?
No, my real cousin.
So this gang got to shoot at them at Landrum.
Yeah.
Is this before or after D got shot at? Got jumped on?
She say it happened last. It's after all the shooting.
So first D get jumped on, then the shootings happened.
I'm telling you, like, from how I heard, like, what I heard first.
Okay.
I'm like, oh, I like, shit, Motum called or something in the morning, didn't know that. But she like, Motum cussing D out, because D telling them they be shooting, they had shooting in the face. So Motum told D they had to find around home. And then she like, then D told, I would sleep, D told them in the morning, like, they had shot up the house.
D told you that, say that you kind of skimmed over that part. When you say D, you talking about Demikian, right?
They real name?
You talking about Lil D, 30 D,
Yeah.
like Mechanicsville? Demikian.
Demikian like, told me that they had shot the houses.
Then who had shot the houses?
Him, Tay, and who it was, Shannon. He just told me nothing. He said him, Tay, Shannon, and some other boy named Trey Dunn, be Tay.
Named Trey Dunn?
Yeah.
He told you personally.
Yeah.
How did he tell you over the phone?
Nah.
In your face?
Yeah, he go my house. I was sitting there, and he told me that they had shot the house, he said, and then what's called, that they shot up Larry, where Tay stayed.
So if gang came back,
Yeah.
shot up
Yeah.
Tay house?
Yeah, someone right there.
That's good.
Like, I guess.
So, after seeing that video, you would agree that Mr. Zachary first said he wasn't there.
Yes.
But he said he had information about what happened, right?
Yes.
And he said he got that information because Demikian came over his house and confessed it all the next day.
Your Honor,
He didn't use the
I
word
object
confess.
to the best evidence, and so
Okay, overruled.
Yeah, that's not his
What's,
fault.
did you finish your
That
question?
his source, he claimed his source of information was not from being there, but from Demikian telling him the next day.
Correct. And also that portion, that first story that he just told about Demikian telling him and all of this was a lie, that he was actually there.
Well, I understand that, but that's what he told you. I'm not asking if it's true. That's what he told you.
Yes, that's what he told me.
Okay. And you had records, phone records. So I'm not asking you to comment on anyone's veracity, but you weren't believing what he was saying. He wasn't fooling you when he told you that.
Your Honor, this is asked and answered, so objection.
Sustained.
Okay. Later on, you called him out. When I say later on, I'm talking about just after that clip. You called him out on what he was saying, correct? You
Your Honor,
challenged him.
objection under 403, they've just heard, and she's been asked.
Okay. He's trying to do his examination, so I'm going to overrule that one.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You challenged him, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And he pled with you. He said, I'm being honest.
Is that a question?
Let's hear it.
Well, that wasn't on that clip. That wasn't on that clip. He told you in the interview room he was being honest, correct?
Objection, Your Honor. They saw it on the other clip. So best evidence.
You just said he could ask
Sustained.
about it.
Okay. He promised you he wasn't there, correct?
Your Honor. I object. Best evidence. The jury has seen it.
They keep,
Asked and answered.
if it's best evidence, I will gladly play the clip. Is that?
Your Honor, they've already seen it. This has been asked and answered.
The judge just said earlier, and this is Whitaker that's pissing me off. Not Love. Love always pisses me off. But Whitaker told Schardt like 5 minutes ago at this point, oh, well, instead of playing the tape, just ask the question so we don't have to play the tape again. Well, so now Schart's trying to ask the question of stuff that he's not replaying it in front of the witness, in front of the jury. And Love is like, we've already talked about that. And then Schardt wants to just play the tape. Oh, we already played the tape. Well, how can he do anything to move forward? This is a Whitaker problem. Whitaker should not be constraining the defense in this way.
Sustained.
All right. Okay. Still talking about April 28th.
Okay.
April 28th, through your investigation, you came to realize that there was a shooting at Landrum, correct?
No. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes.
I would object, asked, answered, and best evidence.
Overruled.
You're the lead investigator in the case. There was a shooting at Landrum, correct?
That's what Mr. Zachary stated. I don't believe I was able to find any evidence that that occurred.
Okay,
Just best of my recollection, I don't believe
that's fair. Mr. Zachary claimed that his cousin Alexis Bryant and his girlfriend Summer Good were in that residence at Landrum when that shooting occurred. What he was claiming was a shooting occurred, correct?
Okay, yes.
All right. And the story was that Summer Good, his girlfriend, called him for help. Correct?
Yes.
All right. And as lead investigator on this case, you're aware that at Adele and Drew Drive, the subsequent shootings for which Mr. Zachary was charged, there were shell casings found on those scenes, correct?
Okay.
Is
Yes.
that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And Mr. Zachary, you're aware that he was arrested with a certain gun on May 7, 2015?
A certain gun?
Yes.
Yes, he was arrested with a firearm.
Okay. And that was 9 days after the April 28th shooting, correct?
Yes.
All right. And the ballistics from the shell casings at the scenes that you were investigating matched the
Your
ballistics
Honor,
of the gun
I'm going to
that
object
Mr.
based on hearsay unless there's a stipulation. So I'm going to,
Sustained.
Okay.
That one was actually pretty sharp of Love, I think. If she's making a reference to something that, maybe another defense attorney objected to previously. I don't know the specifics, but I think Love was actually sharp for that one.
I will move on. Mr. Zachary, in his statements to you, stated that he didn't shoot, right? Once he admitted he was there, he claimed he didn't shoot at anyone or any houses.
Correct.
He stated that Mr. Sledge never shot.
That's what he stated, yes.
Okay. And he named 3 shooters as my client, Shannon Stillwell, Shannon Jackson, Trevante Turner, and Ali Lee Caldwell, or he said Lee.
Correct.
Okay. And you have said in court that you looked at some social media post with Trevante and Lee in it, correct?
And trade on, yes.
And trade on. Okay. Shannon was not in this social media post.
No.
Okay. When did you look at this social media post?
The exact date I'm unsure of, but it was during the early portion of this Operation Planners, Donovan Thomas murder investigation with the retaliatory shootings.
So that in 2015 you looked at this social media post?
Yes, the early part of 2015.
Okay. Did you print out that social media post?
Printed? No.
Do you have that social media post?
I did. It was on a terabyte jump drive that I had that was damaged when the city of Atlanta had some type of cyber attack. But I did have the actual.
What? Oh my God, tech people in the chat. Is this a solid state drive or an external thumb drive that she's talking about? And she's saying she lost what was on that device because of the hack, the cyber hack?
Photograph of it.
So we don't have that social media post in court here today?
I don't know if Ms. Love them have it. I don't have it.
Okay. Regardless of this post that you found involving that had Trevante Turner and Ali Lee Caldwell in it, you never charged Trevante Turner or Ali Caldwell with anything regarding April 28, 2015, correct?
Your Honor, I object based on asked and answered and 403, asked and answered in depth.
Overruled.
No, there was no corroborating evidence to say that they were involved
Okay.
outside of what Mr. Zachary stated.
And In the 9.5 years that have passed since April 28, 2015, you never charged Shannon Stillwell with any of these incidents from April 28, 2015, did you?
I've been retired since 2020.
Okay, so from April 28, 2015 to your retirement date in 2020, you never charged Shannon Stillwell with any of the events from April 28, 2015?
I have not.
Okay. You talked to Mr. Zachary about the Lil Wayne bus shooting from 2015, correct?
Briefly.
Okay, briefly. Did Quindarius Zachary ever claim to be on 285 or the highway when any buses were shot at or shot?
I don't believe so.
Okay, did he ever claim to be a witness to the actual shooting?
No.
Okay. He did tell you that someone was in a Camaro with Jimmy Winfrey, but he could not identify that person, correct?
Objection, Your Honor, best evidence.
I mean, they can't have it both ways, Judge. They can't stop me from playing the video and then complain when I don't play the video.
Your Honor, they just saw the video, so objection is to a waste if we want to continue and expedite.
See if she can answer the question.
What's the question again? I'm sorry.
He claimed that someone was in the Camaro, the white Camaro with Jimmy Winfrey, correct?
Okay, yes.
But he couldn't identify that person.
I don't believe he stated a name.
Okay. And he claimed that at Club Compound, he saw Shannon getting into Dolly is Jeffrey's sister, correct?
Okay, yes.
Dolly's Ford Explorer.
Yeah, I don't recall.
You know Dolly's Ford Explorer to be bluish green, correct?
I'm aware of the interview, but I don't recall off the top of my head what vehicle he stated he got into.
Okay.
It wasn't the vehicle with him, with Mr. Zachary.
You know Dolly's Ford Explorer to be bluish green, correct?
Correct, so I've heard.
Okay. Have you spoken to the bus driver who was out there that night on 285 driving Lil Wayne?
I have no reason to speak to the bus driver.
Are you aware?
Your Honor, I'm going to object if Mr. Schardt is going to ask about another witness's testimony or anything like that.
I don't know what he's going to ask about.
Are you aware that the descriptions for the cars,
Objection, Your Honor. That would call for speculation. She said she was not out there. And hearsay.
Overruled.
are you aware that the descriptions of the cars involved given by the bus driver were a white Corvette?
Hang on, sustained with regard to hearsay at that point, yes.
Do you have any idea what the descriptions given by the bus driver were?
Objection, Your Honor. That's for the same reason, and it's irrelevant whether she knows what a description was. And Mr. Schardt has no good faith basis for asking. She has testified that that was not her primary investigation. She didn't speak with them.
Sustained.
I think, I didn't hear it, but Steele was probably commentary objection.
Did Quindarius Zachary ever put Shannon in a white truck the night of the Lil Wayne shooting?
When I interviewed him, no.
No? Okay. Do you know of Shannon Stillwell ever being charged with the Lil Wayne bus shooting?
Objection, relevance and hearsay and relevance.
Sustained as to relevance.
Okay. Going to move to the discussion you had with Mr. Zachary about confessions allegedly given to him on the night of January 10, 2015, okay?
Okay.
All right. When you're investigating a crime or talking to a witness, you would agree that it's important to nail down details, correct?
Okay.
I mean, you can feel free to disagree. It's either yes or no. I don't know what okay means.
Do I feel as though it's important to nail down
Details.
details? Yes.
Thank you. And at the time of this interview with with Quindarius Zachary, I know you weren't the lead investigator of the Donovan Thomas case, correct?
Correct.
That was Detective Thorpe, but you had a working knowledge of that case.
Objection, Vegas to working knowledge.
Overruled.
Some parts of the investigation, yes.
You had sat down with Kenneth Copeland multiple times, right?
Correct.
And all that was prior to your meeting with Mr. Zachary, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And regarding these alleged confessions, you would certainly want to obtain the contextual details surrounding the confessions, correct?
Objection, vague.
Overruled.
The confession as far as Mr. Thomas's death?
Yes.
And
You'd want to know the contextual details surrounding
objections,
the
Your Honor,
confession.
regarding alleged confession. It mischaracterizes what.
Sustained.
As an investigator, you would want to nail down the contextual details.
Objection, contextual details as to what? Vague.
Overruled. If she doesn't understand, she can express that.
I don't understand.
You would want to know who supposedly confessed.
Objection, Your Honor, there's, again, the court sustained the objection as to alleged confessions. So continuing on that,
Sustained.
Your Honor,
Sustained.
my client's presumed innocent,
Understood.
and Your Honor,
and I'm not accepting that there was any confession. So I'm going to say presumed,
Yeah.
I'm going to say
All
alleged
right,
confession.
stop. I'm going to excuse y'all.
This has me feeling kind of bad for Schardt. Like, after all of this, I love arguing. We have the right to present our case and go on and on and on. He's not able to defend his client. And the best records thing is pissing me off because it's like, you want to rely on the video but don't want him to play the video because it's cumulative. But then because he's asking the question instead of playing the video, you're objecting
I don't
because it's
think-
not the best record of the evidence. Just ask.
We'll excuse you.
Oh, and they're finally telling Gaither to get out instead of letting her sit there. And Drea had pointed out she used some of the same verbiage earlier. I'm mad.
Yeah.
I don't think the problem is with the word alleged. I think it's with confession.
yes.
Okay, well, I don't know what else to call what we're, I'm willing to call it whatever, except I'm not going, with all due respect, Your Honor, I'm going to not run afoul of the court, but I'm not going to call it a confession.
Yeah, I think she agrees to that. I
Okay,
think
then
that's what her objection is.
Well, Mr. Zachary is saying that my client, Mr. Zachary said, he's not saying it now, said that my client came up to him and said he just killed someone. I don't know what other term that Ms. Love would prefer me use. I'm willing to use another term, but I don't know what
You
else.
have another term, Ms. Love, that would,
Statement, co-conspirator hearsay, Your Honor, a confession is something
we're not
made
going to
to.
use that.
He's not alleging to have said anything, to law enforcement.
I've sustained as to the word confession. Can you use the word statement?
I'm willing to do whatever Your Honor asked me to do, as long as I can say alleged.
Well, sure, you can say that too. Okay. Let's everybody take a break. And let's hope that at some point this afternoon, we get through this examination.
So they're actually taking a recess, and Love didn't argue on and on there for the next 30 minutes. She actually just let it go. Guys, I can barely keep up with this objection counter in the banner. Like, this is rapid fire. Somebody said it. Somebody called it out. It was Zion, I think. Yeah. Zion said, I also cheated on you for a bit. I was wondering the whole time how many objections there had been and how you would be able to handle the rapid fire and never ending objection ruins. It's just like, and they're cyclical. And Ike points out, and it's true, Love will do the relevance and foundation ping pong objections, right? If you object to something not having foundation, that means foundation hasn't been laid. So you need to ask some questions to get that foundation laid. And sometimes the questions might not really, you might not really see why it's relevant or where you're going until the foundation actually gets there. And Love always gets this grace when she's wibble wobbling up to the point she's trying to make to lay foundation. She gets so many assists to get foundation laid. But she lodges these objections to, really, Schardt gets it the worst. Oh, well, what's the relevance? I object. And it's sustained. And then Schart's really trying to lay foundation. So he can't lay foundation because he can't ask the lead up questions to it. And then when he tries to just get to the point, which is relevant, then she objects with a foundation objection because foundation hasn't been laid because he's been deprived of the chance to ask the questions. And then at the beginning, I don't really think it was his fault, but then he gets flustered and you can see him kind of not knowing how to adjust or recover because now he's completely thrown off. So I'm not going to deny that he's off his feet a little bit, like towards the end of what we're watching right here. But, and it comes down to this, Zion. It's just been rapid fire objections. And Love would cry. Love would raise a fit if this was happening to her. And honestly, I hope the next time on like redirect, well, right, we get to redirect today, I'm assuming, if we have the next witness up. I hope they do it back. I just hope they do it back. Like, it's just crazy. No, so, and thank you. So, AL here had changed the picture to the dog. So everyone look at AL's dog. Is cross the time for defense to put on their case? Well, so, but you have the right to confront these witnesses, right? So there's going to be a case in chief and a case in chief. And there might be some witnesses that have been called that the defense, they're still subject to recall, and the defense has the right to recall them. But that's not everybody across the board. And for good trial practice, court management, especially with a judge who seems to care about the calendar, if the state is trying to call the witness first, oftentimes you don't want to just call the witness again later. So you kind of have to deal with it. So cross-examination becomes your opportunity with certain witnesses to really address that witness. You might not get to call them back. And this is critical in this case because the way Whitaker seems to run things, she has like a fuse that burns forever for the state. And then when it's finally the defense's turn to do something, all of the constraints she should have put on the state suddenly become relevant to her, and she wants to place them on the defense while they're doing their thing. So can you imagine if Schardt doesn't take this opportunity to cross-examine Gaither on these subjects? And really, he needs to do it right when it's fresh in the jury's mind, these specific incidents that Gaither just got directed on. But if he doesn't do that, and later down the line, Whitaker's like, why do you want to call Gaither again? No, I'm not going to let you do that. So they've really got to do it here. But yeah, and then that's why you can't just sit there and deprive defense attorneys the opportunity to cross-examine a witness like this. They have the right to confront. And again, I do wish Schardt would push back and say, I don't really think it was asked or answered that way. Or rephrase. I think some of these asked and answered, if he rephrased the question and said, on direct, did you testify that such and such? So he's asking the root of that question, and it's getting objected to as asked and answered. But if he rephrased it as, were you asked on direct? Now that's a different question. And he should be able to overcome an asked and answered objection. It's meant that I think if he wasn't so flustered. There we go. Got scared there. I got scared there. I don't know what that was. I'll die if Spectrum goes out on me again. Oh, man. And again, thank you guys for wishing Chris Westis a happy birthday in the chat. Always love when you guys spread the cheer through the chat. Sean Street had said, Kat, your feed was slipping. I had to slide to 101.9 Slime. Is that really a real station? Oh, boy. Shout out to 101.9 Slime. And don't apologize. That's totally cool. That ill kid Jay's here contributing to the Starlink fund. Love it. I actually had that go through my mind when my internet conked out. I should probably get some Starlink, a backup. Thank you so much. Good to see you, that ill kid Jay, and hope to see you at Blub Blassie later tonight. Dale Johnson says, business continuity is a basic governmental duty. And something that they often seem to be not so great at. Thank you so much, Daryl. Daryl, yep, no inventory list of what is transferred. Just a little bit of a mess. No line items, no details, no specifications, no responsive documents. There's a big lack of continuity in Fulton County. Thank you, Daryl. And then Alva here says, thank God you're back. Love from Norway. Shout out to our friends in Norway. FFS said, Kat, missed you. Glad you're back. I told DA Love to stop. Thank you. It seems like they just tried to mess with me right then and there a few seconds ago. And Zion, okay, so this is a, oh yeah, never-ending objections. Apple hates you. Injection instead of objections. I think I read it as objections when I was reading the chat out loud. I think I caught the typo and corrected it. I try to do that. I try to be good with that because thank you for the super chats, but I don't want to make you send more just to correct something. I try to decipher it. And then we put this on the screen. Steph JK had said, happy mod day. Shout out to the mods. Love you guys. The best on YouTube. Love you guys in the chat. Love the mods. And I just added Drea. Drea sent over her PayPal, so that's now in the description as well. AI Design said, I think this is hi Kat, the mods. You're amazing. We love you. Shout out to AI Designs. FFS says, did she just try to object? Try to say it's a waste of time? Yeah, she did the 403, which, I mean, if Love had a jersey, the number would somehow be 403. Kevin Kirksey said, heavy breathing cat meme with Gaither. Oh my god, let me make a sticker. I'll make a sticker. I'll do it. That's a good one, Kevin. Ike says, loves performative, disinterested. Look at me multitasking. Yes, did you guys notice that? When she starts going. When questions are getting spicy. Loves performative, disinterested. Look at me multitasking. Despite years' evidence to the contrary, sent me to the garage. Now my dog is angry because I am. Oh. Oh, shout out to Ike. Love this characterization here. Sentence, the whole sentence. Ian became green. Thank you so much, Ian, for becoming a member. And then, holy moly, Amy E. Oh no, it's Jesse. All right, we're going to skip Jesse. Shout out to Jesse, but we're really more interested in Amy E right now. Amy E, thank you for gifting 20. That's incredible. Let me update this banner. We're going to put Amy E in the banner. And if someone, I'm sure Steph is already on it if I toggle back over to the chat, but if somebody could drop the link to tonight's Classy Beach stream for Club Classy, Blood Blassy. We have a VIP booth as always. Come hang out. Amy, this is so generous, and thank you so much. I tried to get on when my internet crashed. I saw you guys gave a warm welcome to everybody that was like made homeless from this stream disconnecting earlier. And you guys with open arms are so sweet and so welcoming to everybody. So Amy, I consider you like one of my new YouTube friends. So much love and appreciation for you. If you guys could put a blue heart in the chat, that would be amazing. We're going to add Amy to the banner. And we are going to update this total slime counter. Because guess what? If we put it together here, we are at, what's my math? I think we were at 93. I had 93 from the old stream from this morning. We are at 114 if we combine that. So we broke 100 new members. Look at Amy getting us there. So updated banner. It was nice to update that in peace without all these objections. Super, super nice, Amy. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Gap Girl says, Kat does this with so much knowledge. I try to learn, and it's hilarious because I was like, we don't really hear best evidence objections that often. And then we get to cross, and Love is so eager to throw the same objection she got right back at the defense that every 2 seconds now we're hearing best evidence. So, you know, I had to learn, I don't even remember what trial, why I looked up best evidence. But at one point I was like, that doesn't make sense. Why are you objecting to the best evidence? It doesn't make sense. So I had to Google it, had to learn. I love sharing what I learned with anybody and love learning from anybody too. So thank you so much, Gap Girl. Zion42 says, it was my OCDC that demanded I fix it, LOL. I feel that. I understand. And then Terry says, I missed you all earlier. Kat, don't leave me again. Guys, I'm telling you, the weather's beautiful. Spectrum, I swear a tree tried to fall yesterday and must not have all the way fallen, and it decided to take a internet line out today. So that was totally unplanned, and it was a little frazzling. Glad to see you here, Terry. Glad to see you. And we are here. We are here. Touche says in the bushes all day, but this cross is infuriating me on Schardt's behalf. Yes. Like I can feel it. I'm with you, Touche. And if you're working, hope you're having a good day at work. Let's see. We just left off with Jesse Weber. Maybe it's Weber. Getting everybody back in the courtroom for some more Schardt and hopefully not as many rapid fire objections. It looked like I got right to the end there. Okay, we're here. We're here.
Thank you, Your Honor. May it please the court. Welcome back, Investigator Gaither. So we were talking about an investigator when someone you're interviewing is saying someone else made a statement to them or an alleged statement to them, okay?
Okay.
I'm asking, as an investigator, you would want to obtain from the person you're interviewing contextual details about this statement that was supposedly given to them, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And those contextual details would include, obviously, who said it, right?
Generally, yes.
Okay. It would include when it was said, correct?
If you're just generalizing something, yes, or if you're speaking about a specific,
As an investigator, if someone is saying, Johnny told me this, and it's about what you're investigating, you would want to know when Johnny supposedly said this to the witness, right?
correct, but every investigation is different. So if you're speaking about context, context is not always the same in every case because every case is different.
Okay, we're going to get into specifics in a minute.
Okay.
You would want to know if anyone else was present for this statement, to know if there's any other witnesses to the statement, correct?
Generally speaking, I can't just answer that and put all of that in one box, Mr. Schardt.
Well, what
If you
has-
speak, I'm still answering.
Okay.
I can't just put all of that in one box when you just say all investigations. All investigations and all confessions or interviews are not the same.
As an investigator, when would you not want to know who else heard a statement?
Objection, Your Honor. Relevance.
Well, I was just told
Harassing.
Correct.
Overruled.
As an investigator, when would you not want those details? Explain to me a situation where you wouldn't want those details.
There's not a situation that I would not want those details, but if we're speaking about something in context, a specific incident, all investigations are not the same. Yes, to generalize who, what, when, where, how, that's essentially what you want to obtain, but sometimes that's not always known by the person that's giving the information.
Okay, but you would want to know.
That's what I just stated generally, sir.
Okay. And you'd also want to know exactly what was said, as close as possible, the wording of what was said, correct?
Correct.
All right. Okay. So let's talk about what Quindarius Zachary said other people said to him during that interview on August 5th, 2015. Okay? Quindarius Zachary claimed that Nard, Demise McMullen, confessed to him during that interview, didn't he?
Your
I
Honor,
don't,
Yes.
with respect to the confession part,
Oh, okay.
Can you rephrase?
Yes. Quindarius Zachary, in that interview in August 2015, claimed that Demise McMullen, also known as Nard, made statements to him about the Donovan Thomas murder. Correct?
yes.
Okay. But at other parts of the interview, and I'm specifically referring to 254:33 to 254:49, he told you Nard didn't tell me nothing. Isn't that correct?
Is that within the context of the murder?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
He also told you during the interview that he did not hear Nard say anything about it, speaking of the Donovan Thomas shooting. Isn't that correct?
That's what he stated in the video.
Okay, so in the same interview, Quindarius Zachary told you that Nard confessed, or, well, I'm going to use his words, confessed at Thug's house. And he also told you in that same interview, Nard didn't say anything about it, and he did not hear Nard say anything about it. Isn't that correct?
That's what the video states, sir.
Okay. Quindarius
Not a good
Zachary
look
said
to the
something
jury.
did happen, then said it didn't happen in the same interview. You said that Quindarius Zachary was pretty consistent. That's what you said on direct.
Is that a question, or are you just stating it?
That's a question.
Okay.
On direct, you said that Quindarius Zachary was pretty consistent.
Yes.
Okay? Quindarius Zachary claiming Demise McMullen said something to him, and then later on in the interview saying Demise McMullen did not say anything to him. Do you find that to be pretty consistent?
In the majority of Mr. Zachary's interview, he was consistent with the statements that he made.
That was good enough? From your point of view? To be pretty consistent?
Vague.
Sustained.
Okay. Let's talk about what Mr. Zachary claimed, the statement Mr. Zachary claimed that Mr. Kendrick gave to him. You actually asked him at 2:53:26 in the interview, you asked him for contextual details. You said exactly what did Mr. Kendrick say, right?
Yes.
Okay. And you asked him that because you wanted to determine the exact words, correct?
Yes.
You also wanted to ask him where this was said, when it was said, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And when you asked Quindarius Zachary those questions about what he was claiming Mr. Kendrick said, he never answered, did he?
I'm not certain.
Okay. Now let's talk about what Quindarius Zachary claimed my client, Mr. Stillwell, said. In this interview, you saw contextual details regarding what Mr. Stillwell supposedly said to Mr. Zachary, correct?
Whatever you feel is contextual details.
Okay, well, I want to be on the same page as you. You asked
Okay.
him where and when it occurred, correct?
Yes.
All right, and he told you at 2:51:15 in the interview that he, Mr. Zachary, and Moontoon, Mr. Sledge, had just pulled up to Thug's house, Thug's condo, correct?
Yes.
And that Shannon was planning on going to see some girls and then asked for a firearm, correct?
Yes.
And he told you at that point, before Mr. Stillwell went to see these girls, right when Mr. Zachary showed up, that's when he told Mr. Zachary.
Objection compound.
Sustained.
Okay. Mr. Zachary told you it was at this time that Mr. Stillwell supposedly stated that he caught Nut down bad.
No, I don't believe that was in that moment.
Okay, Your Honor, may I play DS41D?
You may.
And that's 251:15 to 251:45.
Did I miss any objections? I was uploading the new sticker to the channel emojis.
Yep.
Where were you guys when Shannon was telling you this, and what day was it? Same day or day after?
Same night, Shannon, I was walking through, I had just walked me and Moose when they pulled up at their house. And Shannon finna go to her house. And all the bullets were going out the gun. Like, he like, nigga got no guns. They see Moose on gun.
Right.
Moose had no handgun. They see Moose on gun and go to the store. Moose say, wait, I ain't got no bullet. And that was Shannon. Me and Shannon started talking.
Okay. After viewing that video, would you agree that Mr. Zachary's story to you was that, and Mr. Zachary also told you that he showed up at the condo around 9 p.m., correct?
Which part do you want me to answer first?
9 p.m.
Who's yelling?
Is that what he said?
I don't recall him saying 9 p.m.
Okay. In that video, Mr. Zachary is telling you, after you saw contextual details, that Shannon made these statements to him when he and Moontoon pulled up to Jeffrey's condo.
And I believe in the rest of that. In context, he stated that they didn't want to say anything in front of Moontoon because Moontoon talked too much.
Okay.
So I don't believe it was in this moment when they saw your client walking in that he told him in front of Moontoon.
Well, so what's your understanding? When do you believe it occurred?
I believe he further states that he didn't tell him right in that moment that he said it in front of Moontunk.
Well, I mean, you'd want the details, so if that's not when it occurred, I'm asking you, when did this alleged statement from Mr. Stillwell occur? If not then?
You probably should have asked Mr. Quindarius that while he was on the stand.
Okay, I did.
Okay.
Wow.
Are you aware, you would agree that Mr. Zachary is talking about a time before Mr. Stillwell goes to see girls that night?
Yes, when they saw him walking out of the
Okay.
condo is what he was talking about here.
Are you aware that that story changed in 2017?
Your Honor, I object to assuming facts not in evidence until
Sustained.
Kind of in
We have
evidence
played
from
that clip,
Zachary.
and that's in evidence
Yeah.
with Mr. Zachary. We played a clip from 2017.
2017?
Yes.
Undo that one, Lou. There you go.
Are you
Thank
aware that his story about when it occurred changed when he spoke to law enforcement and district attorneys in 2017?
I was not in the gang unit in 2017. I was not in the gang unit in 2017.
Let's talk about what Quindarius Zachary claimed Mr. Stillwell said. In the 2015 interview with you, you would agree that he said Shannon told him, caught nut down bad.
They
Correct.
caught Nut down bad, yes.
Okay. And he also, Mr. Zachary also claimed that Mr. Stillwell gave him details about what had occurred, told him what happened. Told him who was in the car, for instance.
Yes.
Okay, and told him about going to meet Bushi and riding around in the car, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Are you aware that in 2017,
Your Honor, I'm going to object. If the witness has said she wasn't there in 2017, there's no good faith basis to ask if she knows anything about it. She said she never saw the video. So I'd object to lack of foundation. No good faith basis.
Sustained.
are these changing stories pretty consistent?
Your Honor, objection.
Sustained.
Now, you were asked if, on direct, if you made any promises to Mr. Zachary. Remember that? Promises about bond or promises about a lenient sentence.
And I'm sorry, I'm pausing, but do you understand why Love is so good? Like, I don't want to say so good, but why Love is prepared to make these objections? This was her strategy of bringing the witnesses up in this order. It's the state's case in chief. She's calling the witnesses in their order. Cross should be limited to the scope of direct. And if we don't ask about certain things with certain witnesses, we can't ask when the previous witness is on the stand. You play this footage with the next witness, and now you can't compare the 2015 stuff that Gaither was present for to the 2017 stuff that Gaither wasn't present for. So there really wasn't a true opportunity to point out the contradiction in how people pursued the investigation of this case and ignored the inconsistencies while they were pursuing the investigation. Love has strategically laid out an order of the way she's calling the witnesses and what evidence she's bringing in with what witness to carve that opportunity out.
I believe so.
Okay, and you said that you don't have the authority to guarantee someone a lower sentence, right?
Correct.
Okay, and you don't have the authority as a police officer, I'm not saying you personally, but as a police officer, you don't have the authority to guarantee someone bond, correct?
Correct.
And you didn't do that. You didn't make any guarantees, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Do you recall Mr. Zachary when he came to talk to you? Well, let me ask you this. In the calls, did you have any calls with Mr. Zachary before August 5th, 2015?
Before?
Yes. Like you
No.
said his family was calling. Did Mr. Zachary ever call you?
No, I don't believe so.
Okay. You say you don't believe so.
No.
Okay. These family members certainly expressed to you a desire for Mr. Zachary to be released, correct?
To be released or for me to come talk to him, pick him up to talk to him?
Both.
I don't recall about a release. His family was calling, asking could I go pick him up because he wanted to speak to me.
Okay. When you got into the interview room with him, he repeatedly stated that his desire was to be released on bond, correct?
Correct.
He stated that he'd wear an ankle monitor, but he just needed to get out of jail.
Your Honor,
Correct?
I object they've heard the interview.
I'm
And so
sorry, you what?
I object best evidence. There, Mr. Schardt is asking what he repeatedly stated, so they've heard the interview.
I'm not sure I understand
Best
that objection.
evidence.
Can you repeat your question?
Mr. Zachary, during the interview, repeatedly stated his desire to be released on bond.
And your objection is best evidence?
Yes.
Sustained.
She was, oh my God. This is Whitaker's fault.
Your Honor,
Yes.
as an advocate, I'd like to be able to ask questions about the video that was just played. I think it's to highlight certain aspects.
So I've sustained the objection. You may ask a different question.
Okay. Mr. Zachary indicated to you that Summer, his girlfriend, had told him it would be in his best interest to come talk to you, correct?
Yes.
And you agreed with him. You said absolutely. Correct? Okay. Now, when we talk about corroboration, that's something that you would do after the interview, correct? Check behind details or facts or claims, correct?
Are we talking about if someone told me something?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
I would
that-
try to attempt to.
Right, but that would be something done after the interview, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and you weren't corroborating things in real time with Mr. Zachary, were you? In the interview room?
Well, if that was a piece of evidence that I had in hand, like Investigator Dennis had a video or I had phone records, I was able to corroborate in that moment. But if
Okay.
you're just talking about based upon just something he said that happened, no, I was sitting in the interview room with him.
Right. So you certainly weren't corroborating, I understand you had the phone record for April 28th incident, but you had those on hand during the interview, correct? The April 28th incident phone records?
Yes.
Okay. But regarding the Donovan Thomas case where you weren't the lead investigator, you didn't have materials to corroborate in real time his claims about that, did you?
I'm trying to remember. There were some persons that we had cell phone records of that we knew were involved in retaliatory shootings. So if we would, again, obtain probable cause or a search warrant for the cell phone records, some of the persons involved, we would go back to January to see if, they were involved in any other incidents that we could corroborate.
So that involved,
If it-
oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So again, if it was a person that we had, some of those persons, we would go back to January to try to get some corroborating evidence.
But those materials were in relation to retaliatory shootings, as you're deeming them retaliatory shootings, not the January 10th, 2015 incident.
January 15th?
No, you had materials, you're talking about materials you had regarding, and these are your words, retaliatory shootings. Though you didn't have documents, or what you're talking about did not involve the actual January 10th, 2015 incident, involved things that happened afterwards, correct?
I cannot say for certain that the three persons, I can't say yes or no, out of the persons that we had, that we didn't go back to January the 10th of the Donovan Thomas murder. You say retaliatory shootings, which were in effect because of the murder. So of course we would go to January the 10th and not just the first date that we've known about the shooting, the retaliatory shootings.
Let me ask you this when we're talking about corroboration.
Yes, sir.
During that interview at 3:36:10, Investigator Dennis tells Quindarius Zachary, "You are doing great. You're doing a great job. I can't express to you the magnitude of what you're saying," correct?
Yes.
Okay. And at 3:36:57, during that interview, Investigator Dennis says, "These next couple of hours will determine the rest of your life," correct?
Yes.
And then, of course, Mr. Zachary asks, "Can you release me on house arrest?" Right?
Okay. Yes.
And during that interview, on August 5th, 2015, you told Mr. Zachary, "I'm going to get on the phone with the DA ASAP. You have my word," correct?
Yes.
Okay. I have no further questions.
Okay. Are there other defense attorneys who have questions for this witness?